Chapter 1-3. It was a sea of networks within a dome-shaped theater. AG stood in the center of a room as a schematic diagram constructed with wireframes was projected before him. Floating on the surface of the World Wide Web were the servers of nations, corporations, and research institutes. Their servers sat atop its surface like floating islands or ships on waves. The projection that dove deeper beneath the network to a deep sea region where a completely different world unfolded. The digital world. A voice began to play within the dome theater, taking them through an audio tour. The wireframe schematic was rendered into 3D and took on vivid colors. It is a world different from our world. The real world. The audio said, one could call it a cyberspace that exists in the digital network. The other world that stretched out from beyond the network. The digital world. Such scenic beauty. While the picture quality was poor, it had a clear and beautiful wilderness to it, much like the environmental images shown in the entrance lobby. Inhabiting this digital world, the audio continued, are these. The data became three-dimensional. It was a HoloLise, a technology that was spearheaded by TDU and put to practical use by AE. This technology was what was used in all of the 3D digital signage seen throughout the city. Digital monsters, known as Digimon. Something was hololized. At first glance, it looked like a frog? It was like a tadpole that still had a tail, but on the verge of becoming a frog. It had the color of a watermelon, green with black stripes. What made it distinctive were its dorsal fin that stuck up like a mohawk, the claws on its limbs, and fangs curled up into a cocky smirk. Betamon, child level, amphibian type, virus species. The pseudo-frog's data was displayed. Digimon are life forms that live in the digital world, the audio explained. An AI life form. You'd never find something like this in a school textbook. An AI life form? Digimon of different motifs, like fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, plants, insects, crustaceans, mollusks, even machine and chemical phenomena. Not to mention other phenomena like the myriads of mythological creatures, gods, and demons to exist, hololized one after the other. The discovery of the digital world and research about its history, the identity of digital monsters, known as Digimon, the evolution of Digimon from baby, child, adult, perfect, and ultimate, the three basic attributes of Digimon classification, and more. These explanations came along with the images of the hololized Digimon. That's the object I saw in the lobby! A video of the object that AG had seen before emitted a tri-colored laser show, illuminating repeatedly over AG as he stood in the center of the dome theater.
It's the motif of the three attributes that form the basis of a Digimon's taxonomy: virus, data, and vaccine.
Ryusenji explained. Digimon are the fruition of mankind's efforts, of our successful contact with the new world, the digital world, in the network. The audio cried. Digimon have revolutionized human society. By using and applying Digimon AI as tools, it has led to remarkable discoveries in various areas of study, such as software development, cryptographic security, and AI drug development. However, it is still a secret to mankind. A majority of people in the world still don't know that the digital world even exists. Suddenly, the image was disrupted. The dome theater vibrated. And even if they did, they wouldn't understand it anyway. The tone of the dialogue changed at that last line. It sounded like it had been processed through a machine. There is the ethical and non-ethical. Digimon can be misused as tools of cyber-terrorism. These instances are known as Digimon crimes. The video abruptly jumped to a scene in the real world. It was the passenger cabin of an airliner. The plane's wings could be seen outside a window. The roar of its engine jets was audible as the plane flew above the clouds at night. The video was being taken by one of the passengers, filming the cabin with his smartphone. Sleeping next to him under a blanket was either the photographer's wife, lover, or daughter. A realistic roar of wind deafened Eiji. The world was flooded by static. And then, silence. Without warning, their vision went dark. The angle of the video was disturbed. An alert. Oxygen masks came down in the cabin. Screams. Confusion. Eiji averted his eyes. He couldn't stand to watch it anymore. But there was also nothing that he could do. The airliner suddenly nosedived and fell headlong through the clouds at an altitude of more than 30,000 feet. Tomonori Ryusenji had always been the leading figure of the world in discovering the digital world and researching digital monsters. He was the very reason for why AE's digital lab was located next to TDU. There was no known precedent of a single researcher making such a significant contribution to a university's reputation and a company's business performance. The remarkable development of both the university and AE were all made possible by Professor Ryusenji alone.
Magnificent.
Ryusenji beamed with approval as he inspected the Digimon dock, a gadget that Eiji used to deliver his goods. They were in the DDL, in Ryusenji's office. It was a private room where one of the walls was made of glass. It looked much like a university laboratory, with shelves crammed full of equipment, reference materials, and cardboard boxes. Ryusenji connected the Digimon dock to his lab equipment, and the Digimon that Eiji captured was hololized. It was a frog-like creature with a tail.
It is indeed the Madoki Betamon that I requested. Just look at those gentle, beautiful curves.
Ryusenji traced the outline of Madoki Betamon's image with his finger, as if touching something precious. Among all the data found in the unknown digital world, these AI programs called digital monsters, aka Digimon, sold at a high price on the grim market due to their convenience, scalability, and rarity. It took me 3 Tyrannomon to capture that one. Eiji entreated as he set his bag down on the work desk. He'd had his personal belongings returned to him since they were no longer in D4.
Wow, sounds tough.
Betamon have a habit of throwing their dorsal fins when they feel like they're in danger. However, Madoki Betamon emit a shockwave from their dorsal fin. That was how Eiji's Tyrannomon number 3 was killed by its blade fin technique during its capture. Yes, it was, but Professor, I'm not sure how this Madoki Betamon is different from the other Betamon.
What do you mean?
Ryusenji looked offended.
Eiji-kun, can't you tell? Do you really not know the difference between Betamon and Madoki Betamon?
Eiji was alarmed that he disappointed his client.
Well, the color's a little different. That's right. The color of this Madoki Betamon isn't nearly as vivid. I knew you could tell the difference. Eiji-kun, you can expect a bit of a bonus to your payment this time.
Yes. Thanks for your patronage. It seemed that his random guess was correct. Now Eiji could add pickles and raw egg to his beef-laden rice bowl for dinner tonight. The client seemed super pleased. Ryu Senji began to transfer the Madoki Betamon's data to his lab equipment.
Eiji-kun, what did you think of your experience earlier?
Earlier? You mean the video that I saw in D4? It was awesome.
It's a promotional video. Our company once had a plan to expand into entertainment. We were going to call it Digimon Land.
Nice. So, you were going to sell Digimon as characters to the general public who don't know anything about the digital world, huh? I especially liked the idea you guys had. That Digimon are living AI creatures. Fantasy? Fiction? If I were a kid, I'd be hooked. Eiji let his imagination run wild.
Eiji, Digimon are alive.